Hey YouTube, and welcome to Silent Code Dev. Welcome to day 73 of becoming a front-end developer from zero. And we're gonna continue our learning JavaScript, and we're on point 7, arrays 2 and callbacks. So in the previous video we learned about the filter, right? We learned that filter is an array method we can use to filter out certain array items or elements within an array based on condition. So if we are using the filter method inside a function, we need to remember to use the return keyword on the filter and also inside the filter, like the condition for the filter, right? So we need to give the result to the filter method, and then we need to push that answer to the function. So that is something that can trip us up, because when you don't have a function, you don't need to use the return keyword, right? It's only when you have it inside a function. So I actually wrote that down, and now we're gonna continue learning array find, right? So let's just make a note about that. I'm gonna push this in here, and we're gonna write array find. Okay, so we learned in a previous lesson about the array filter method. So in this lesson we'll explore the find method, which is a little bit similar in the way it works. Always when it's similar, there's like very nuances, like small nuances to make, subtle differences that are important, right? So let's start with an example, this time with an array of strings. So const names Sam, Alex, Charlie, const result equals names find, and we have a callback function, return name Alex, console log results. Okay, so when you call the find callback method on an array, you will get back the first item that matches the condition that you specify. If no items were found, you will get back undefined. So the condition that we when we use the find method on an array, we'll get back the first item that matches. So it has to match, right? It has to match the condition that you specify. So here we have name, and the condition is that it has to match the string Alex, and that's what we have here. So we can write that down. When using the find array method, it has to match the condition set. So if the condition matches, it'll return the matched result. Otherwise, it return undefined. So the condition that we specify here is that the name should be equal to Alex. So the find callback method will call the callback that you provided for every item in the array until one of the callbacks return true. When this happens, it will stop calling the remaining callbacks and return you the item for which the callback returned true. So in our example above, here's the callback. So function name return name equals Alex, which gets called for name Sam, first of the item in the array. However, the callback will return false because name equals Alex returns false. So the callback will be called again with the next value of name. This time, name equals Alex, the callback will return true because name equals Alex, the condition inside the callback returns true. So the find method stops and returns you that item, which is Alex. So let's take another example, but this time with an array of numbers. So const numbers equals 9, 5, 14, 3, 11. So const first number above 10 equals. So you always have to store it. Yeah, you have to store it in a variable as well. I don't know if you have to, because yeah, how are you otherwise going to, yeah, makes sense. But you store it in a variable, and then you have the method, and then you can like console log it, right? Or you can return it. So it's going to return here in the callback, and then it's going to be stored into the variable. So return number greater than 10, right? So notice how even though there are two numbers that satisfy the condition, the find method stops at the first one that satisfies the condition. This will bring us to the next section, which is filter versus find. What are the differences? So the differences are that filter is going to return more like everything that matches the condition, right? So if you have an array of numbers, right, and you say that the array needs to return back numbers higher than 10, filter is going to return all numbers in the array that are higher than 10, while find is going to return the first number that is higher than 10 in the array. I think I nailed that explanation. Let's read. So what's the difference between filter and find? So differences has to do with the return type of these two methods. So the filter method always returns an array. Okay, so it always returns an array, right? That's why you have several items. It returns an array. And the find method returns the first array item that matches the callback condition or undefined. So that's something that, because it's very important, right? Like when you do like API, when you work with API and you want to do like filter or search, it's very important to use the right one, right? If you use find, you're not going to be able to get, right? You usually want to get an array of items. So filter would be the appropriate method to use. Right here we have, for example, we have an example here, const numbers. All right, so numbers filter, return number. It's always returns an array. And find will always return the first item in the array that matches, right? So it's going to return the array. It's not going to return the array, it's going to return the item. So a number, a string, whatever. So it will always return the first in the array matches the condition. So we can say this is between filter and find. Yeah, I mean, it's not something you need to memorize, but you need to like kind of know that there are differences between them. So the differences between filter and find is that filter will always return back an array containing items, because it can be one or several, but it's always going to return an array containing items or empty array. While the find will only return the first that matches the condition or undefined thing. So yeah, I think that's pretty simple to remember. Filter always returns an array, even if it matches one item or no item, right? It's always going to return back an array. So find callback can return undefined. You may have to wrap its result in an if condition to avoid unexpected errors if you end up calling a method. Yeah. So the find method returns the first item, blah blah blah. Yeah. Okay. So get year. So complete the function get year such that it returns the search year passed as second parameter when it's found in the array. Otherwise, it should return undefined. Okay. So we can just say return I need to see. So complete the function get year such that it returns the search year passed as second parameter when it's found in the array. Okay, so we need to use search year find year and we need to store yes, we have a year. We need to have a condition, right? So 2020. Okay, so now I get it, sorry. So years. Okay, so he wants us to return the search year passed as the second when it's found in the array. Okay. So years. Year return year search year. Okay, I need to go back because I kind of misunderstood that one. Like, I get that we have to Okay, I just didn't get this one. So let's read this completely. Let's read this properly. So complete the function get year such that it returns the search year passed as the second. So it wants us to return the search year when it's found in the array. So I assume the array is the years. Otherwise, it should return undefined. So we wanted to return the search year when it's found in the array. So we need to do a search in the array, right? So we can say const result equals. So years find search year. So I guess it needs to go for each. Number 2020. It's not a function. Okay, so yeah, I was kind of confusing because I'm like, okay, we wanted to return, right? Let's just look at this. So complete the function get year such that it returns the search year passed as the second parameter when it's found in the array, right? So we have an array, we're using the find method on the array, and we wanted to return the search year, right? So that's the second parameter. So if the second parameter matches with the years if it's found in the years array, we want to return that, right? So that's what we're doing. We're checking each year in the array, and we have a condition saying that return year that matches with the second parameter. Okay, I get it now. I don't know why that confused me, but all right. Now we have get odd years, and we know that okay, so it says that we know that 2020 was an odd year, but the number 2020 is even. So let's see. Complete the function get odd years such that it returns all the years that are odd from the years parameter it receives. So we know that the odd years are years that are not divisible by 2. So yeah, so we have years. So we have to say return years find year. So we want to return year. We want to say that if year by 2 1, we want to return year. So yeah, 2029 and 2021. Oh, we need to filter. Sorry. Because we have several things. So not find, but filter. There we go. Yeah. So you guys see that? Because I was like, we need to get more than one item. So, and I see that the result is like, it's a array. So we need to filter that. Okay. So now we're going to learn about the array map, right? So these are really important concepts because we are going to learn that in React, right? That's what I want to get to. So yeah, guys, I'm going to take a little break here. So, okay, so more array methods. So in this lesson, we'll take a look at the 3 array methods. So the first one is array map. So the map callback method allows you to transform an array into another one. Here are some common examples. So you have 4, 2, 5, 8 transform to 8, 4, 10, 16. So we doubled every item in the original array. Sam Alex transformed Sam Alex. We uppercased every item in the original array. So notice that you always get back an array containing the same number of items compared to the original array, but every item has most likely undergone some transformation. So in the first example, the transformation is that we multiply every number to 2. In the second example, the transformation is that we call to uppercase on every item. So yeah, let's see. So let's take a look at how we can implement these transformations. So you have an array of numbers that is stored in a variable called numbers, and then we have a variable called doubled, which equals numbers dot map callback function return number times 2, and it's going to return back the same amount of items in the array but doubled numbers. And same thing with names, upper names. Yeah, so if you forget to return from inside the callback function, so in the callback function you obviously want to have a return keyword because you want to return the result to the actual function, right, or method. Yeah. And then you have array includes. There are so many array methods, right? So, but I would say that the most important array methods are map, filter, find for now, because those are like find to find one specific item, filter to filter out some of all items, and map to do something to each item, right? Like you want to do something to it, you can remove, you can. So array map is a very, so you just have to have a good understanding of these concepts, and we're gonna do a lot of like practices, reps with them. You can even create projects with them, right? So array map. So I'm just gonna say the map method is used when we want to do something to the items in an array so it does not change the amount of items array. It only transforms the items within. For example, doubling the numbers or uppercasing the numbers. Yeah, I could say, for example, doubling the numbers. Yeah, doubling or string. So let's include an example. So const numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have numbers. We have const double numbers equals numbers map number. I don't know why I say number. I should say numbers here. So numbers map number. For each number we want to number, and of course return times 2. So that's going to give us 2, 4, 6, 8. All right. Okay, so that's the array map. And then we have array includes. So the array includes item method is one of the simplest array methods, as it takes an item rather than a callback and returns true when that item exists in the array and false otherwise. Here is an example. So const groceries, apple, peach, tomato. So it just checks if an item exists in an array. So, but it's going to return true or false, right? It's not going to return back the specific. And that's where I made the confusion, because I remember like long time before I would use this and I had an issue because I was like, okay, I knew find and includes will give me back something, right? But find will give you back the item, right? If it matches, if this, let's say you have an array with strings, right? And you have one string that matches the string you're comparing to, it's going to return that string back, whilst includes will return true or false whether an item exists. So if an item exists in an array, you will get back true or false, right? And you can use that to validate some kind of condition to your application, something like that. So yeah, so array includes let's just let's just write about it. Array includes. So array includes will just check whether an item exists or not and return true or false. Yeah, that's literally it. So array glue, this is something that I would probably look up in documentation, because my mind doesn't see a reason to memorize this, right? It's just like, because I will mess up the syntax, I think. But array join glue. So when you have an array and you render this array to a web page, as we'll see later on, the array will automatically convert it to a string. So JavaScript will automatically invoke the toString method on the array, which returns a string. So let's see, const groceries, apple, peach, tomato. Okay, so okay, so you can just like use the join glue to put something in between the items. Oh, I get it. Yeah, I'm gonna need to write about that. So the array map callback method allows you to transform an array into another one. The array includes item method takes an item and returns true when that item exists in the array and false otherwise. The array join glue method returns a string of the array elements separated by the glue. So is app used? So complete the function is app used such that it returns true when the app parameter it receives exists in the app's parameter and false otherwise. So we can say apps includes app, and we need to return, of course. Yeah. So string sizes. So complete the function gets string sizes such that it returns an array of the number of characters for every string. This means for the array A, B, C, D, it should return 3, 1. That's because the first string is made up of 3 characters. Okay. So here we would use map, right? Because we want to transform the arrays. How would I do it? I just get the length, right? How do we know we need to use length? So we have an array with strings, and yeah, simple. So let's see. So return for each, not for each, but map, because for each, now I forgot for each, right? For each is going to, I mean, we can use for each too. I need to look it up because I don't memorize now. Now I just memorize map. For each string, we can return string length, right? But this would not work with for each because it returns undefined. So that's the thing. Okay, so now we have a classroom project. So here we get to practice our array. Yeah. So this is a classroom project. You can enter grades in the browser tab and add them to the app, which will show you various statistics about the classroom. For example, when you see the average grade, blah, blah, blah. So get number of grades should return the number of grades. So the number of grades. Okay, so number of tests. But what do you mean by number of grades? Like, do you mean the amount of grades? Okay, so let's do return the number of grades. Yeah, and here return the sum of all the grades. So we can just do return grades for each grade. I think we can use for each here because we want to do something like let sum equals no sum plus and return sum. Or we can do like this. Sum equals think it's that. So I think we use for each to do something, and then we can like, stuff like that. And we're gonna get the average. So that's so we can just use this one. Average value of all the sums. Divided by so return all passing grades. So to do that, we need to use filter. See, now I have to think. So return grades, filter grades. So return grade greater than 10. So yeah, here we can do the same. So we're gonna do grades return grade less. So 9 and below. So less or equal to 9. Because it says 9 and below. Or is it like equal or no? Less or equal to 9. Okay, so return all the grades raised by 1. So we can use map for that because we're transforming the items. So grades map if grade is not greater than 20, we want to return grades plus 1. Yeah, and it's returning an array, so we need to store it in raised grades. Yeah. So yeah, so this is gonna give us I don't know if I can directly do it here. No, it's not gonna work. So yeah, failing grades, I don't know why. Maybe it's like yeah, we need to return because it's inside a function. I keep forgetting it. But this one, const raise grades, because we're changing. This should be fine because it's always gonna be an array. But if grade is less. Why am I saying the less? Oh yeah, less. Otherwise, yeah, okay, now we got it. So yeah, we have two wrong. So the first one is get passing grades. I'm doing something wrong here. Return all passing grades 10 and above. 10 and above. Okay. And here you get undefined. So or equal to 20. Okay, so I don't know what I'm doing. Let me see. Let me focus. Return all grades raised by 1. No grade should exceed 20. So if grade is less than 20, return. So 10, 4, 8, 20, expected 11, 5, 9, undefined, deeply equal 9, 20. So I'm omitting 20. What the fuck? So I'm doing something. So less or equal to 20, right? $21. And grade what am I doing? If grade is less or equal to okay, let's see the solution to that. Oh, okay. This is the thing. I fucked up here. Because I should say if grade plus 1 is greater than 20, return 20. Otherwise, return grade plus 1. So if grade plus 1. Okay. So if grade plus 1 is greater than 20, return grades. Else grade. Alright. I could have just done this too, I guess. Alright, so now we have voter stats API. So this project uses fetch API that you're going to learn about later in this course to get stats of citizens in a city. To complete this project, you need to return the number of voters in the city selected by the users. So go to the browser tab and select Amsterdam or Berlin. number of citizens that are allowed to vote. Okay, so here we are getting the array. So let me see, fetching. So this is the data that we're getting, and we need to do something with that. So, because here it's saying that implement the voters function such that it returns the number of citizens that are allowed to vote must be 18 years or older. So what we need to do, we need to use map. So return ages map age, return age legal voters, and we need to return the voters length. Yeah, I'm doing something wrong. Equal to 18. Let's see now. Still. Oh, we need to filter. Oh my god. What am I doing, man? What am I doing? Yeah, so I need to do more like drills on. I'm gonna write this. Things to work on. More drilling on for each. Right, because when I drill, I will probably know it, right? So for each map. Filter. Find. Yeah. Okay, so the filter method returns a new array that contains. We know that JavaScript will take blah blah blah. Okay. So now we're going to learn about objects. We'll do that in the next video. So thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.